Okay, we come your way?
Yes. As soon as you say.
Okay. So you can sit in plain sight. I've heard that term before. How you doing, man?
All right.
Oh, hey. Hey, I remember you.
Yeah.
Freedom School. How you doing?
I'm Charles.
Charles, Tony.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Great. How you doing?
Which one? Oh, I can't wait to get to y'all.
Good. How's everyone?
Doing well. Do we come to you first? Okay.
Hi, my name is Tara Akins, as Tony said, and I'll be your tour for the Berkeley Knowledge. Please step this way.
Okay.
Please everybody get in. Hi. This is a timeline of some of the things that we have been studying over the summer, and it starts with the Nile and it ends with the Arabic Muslim world, and you can just look at that in your free time as we move along.
Okay.
Our main focus was on the 25th dynasty, and I know you guys heard of Egypt?
That's it's in the Middle East, right?
It's in Africa.
No, get out of here.
Yes, it is.
No.
And its true name is Kemet. And Egypt is the Greek name, which the Europeans came over and they learned what the Kemites knew, or Egyptians knew, and they made it their own.
Okay.
And have you guys heard of Osiris, Isis, and Horus?
Let me think.
I think so.
Think so.
Well, their true names are Asar, Aset, and Heru. And like I said before, those are the Greek names. And I'll just give you a story of who they are. Asar, he's the founding father of Kemet, or Egypt, and he's also known for unifying the land. He also introduced writing, which the Kemites or Egyptians call Medu Neter, writing of God, agriculture, as well as theology. And with this knowledge, he wanted to share it with his other brothers and sisters throughout Africa. So he decided to travel. And he told his wife Aset to watch over their nation as he was going to travel. And when he was traveling, many loved him and they adored him and they saw him as a leader. And this made his brother Seth very, very jealous. And Seth was like, okay, what can I do to get to my brother's spot? I want his spot. So he decided to kill his brother, and he dismembered or chopped his brother's body into 14 pieces, and he spread them around Kemet. And when Seth heard about this, she fled for her life and she began looking for the 14 pieces. Might I add that she only found 13 pieces, and I'll explain the 14th piece later on. And with every piece that she found, she cleaned it and anointed it with oil. And she connected each body part back together, and then she wrapped it in bandages, creating the first mummy in the history of humanity. And after that, she cried and grieved because they never consummated their marriage, in which she would never have children by the man that she loved. But according to many temples and walls of Kemet, the spirit of Asar came to Aset, and of course 9 months later she had a son named Heru. And might I add that he was born to a virgin and he was born as a king. And his purpose in life was to get his father's throne back. And excuse me. And after that, he knew he had to fight his uncle in order to do so. So during the battle of Heru and Seketh, Seketh popped out the right eye of Heru, and Heru had to get a false eye, which is all-seeing, and that's why you see the eye of Heru in various places of our museum. And Heru, he eventually wins the battle, and Heru miraculously turned into a falcon at that time and flew up to heaven to his father Asar, and he told his father about the great works, and then he came back down to Kemet to become king, and then his father rose from the dead, and he took his throne and he took his place on the throne of judgment in heaven. And that's kind of like the end of the story.
I've heard that story before, but the names were a little different.
Yeah.
Okay, so which story came first?
This one.
That one? You sure?
I'm positive. And you'll learn about that in the next one.
Okay.
And this is King Tut. And King Tut, as you all know, he's like one of the first kings that America found. And they considered him to being the first mummy and the first king of, and like they was astounded by their discovery, and so they kind of put him first. And he was a king, but he never really did anything like miraculous. And Asar is the true first mummy and the first king. And the reason why we put that up there is just to clear that up, because I know you guys are probably thinking like, well, King Tut was the first mummy, so that's it.
Thank you for that clarification.
And this is my aunt. And have you guys seen the Liberty Scales or the Justice Scales?
She was just in court the other day.
Well, they got that from my aunt. And my aunt, she's the twin of Tahuti, and she symbolizes truth, justice, and balance. And as you can see, this is the this is a picture of the judgment. And As you can see, there's the scale right there, and there's the people who have died, and there's their heart, and there's my eye, and there's the feather. And if your heart was heavier than the feather of my eye, then your heart would be thrown into like a lake of fire or a pit of fire. But if your heart was equal to or lighter than the feather of my eye, then, excuse me, then you will go to the kingdom with Asar. And as you can see, this is Heru when he transformed into a falcon, and this is Jehuti. And Jehuti, he basically puts your life on a timeline, and he picks out the deeds and the sins that you have done to also help the scales weigh out. And these two people right here, they're kind of considered dead. And what they will be doing, they will be reciting the 42 principles of Ma'at. And if you read some of those, you can see how precise and how strict the Kemites were about your lifestyle. And these kind of remind me of the 42 principles of Ma'at. Excuse me, these remind me of the 10 Commandments. And this is Sphinx at Cairo, and it's a photograph. And one thing that you may notice is that his nose is chopped off. And have you guys heard of Napoleon? Mm-hmm. Well, it's said.
Movie, right? Huh? There was a movie about Napoleon. He was in high school, right?
I don't think it's that.
What was his name? Napoleon?
Napoleon Dynamite, yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. So Napoleon Dynamite in the nose, right?
No, he didn't do that. It's another Napoleon, way before my time, your time, and a lot of people's time. And basically, it is said that he shot the nose off of the Sphinx because the nose looked too black. And these are the great mirrors. You may have been taught to call them pyramids of Giza. And they're named after Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. And these, it is said that they were buried under the mirrors of Giza. And the reason, they preserved the, they made the, mummified the body to preserve the flesh. And if the flesh was preserved, then the spirit wouldn't recognize his body or his face, and then it can go back to his body. And they made the mirror so tall as to, so the spirit could travel down to the body. And these were one of the first pyramids we put up after Asar said. And this is the Kemetic chart. And these are some of the things that you will be learning and some of the things that I have already said. And I know you're kind of noticing like the spell change difference. And the reason why is because we don't know whether or not how they pronounce their, how they use their vowels and pronounce certain words. And so, like, Aset is kind of considered A-U-S-E-T or A-S-E-T. And we just don't necessarily know, but we were taught A-U-S-E-T. And as you can see, it says M-E-R-M-I-R, so things like that.
Sure.
Oh, and I also would like to point out that it says the left eye for root. And I told you all the right eye. And the reason why is because we have so little documents on Kemetic history, and we don't know whether or not it was the right eye or the left eye, but I can tell you that the left eye represents the moon, and the right eye represents the sun, and that's why we call the eye of Heru all-seeing, because the sun is all-seeing as well. And this is another eye of Heru, and this is the Ankh, and the Ankh is broken down into 3 pieces. The circular part of the Ankh represents the womb, and this is the 14 piece that that Aset couldn't find. And you may have been taught to call it an obelisk, but its true name is a tekken, and it's the reproductive body part on the male. And these 2 outer wings represent new life. And the Ankh as a whole represents completeness, eternity, and fertility, life, etc. And this is a Heru Des Sundays. And it was put up on every entrance of Kemet to tell the people, never forget what Heru has done for you. And this is these are hieroglyphics on a tekken. And this picture right here, I would like for you guys to take a good look at it, because you will be learning about it in the 3rd room of our museum, and so I don't want to tell. I can't spill the beans. So these 2 are the Eye of Heru, and these are the 12 jurors that helped Asar out in the judgment. And we kind of see these today as something else, and I'll give you a hint, and I would like for you to tell me. Jesus.
12 disciples.
Many people, it is believed that the 12 disciples kind of originated from here, and this is also where we get our 12 jurors from in the court. And I would also like to point out that it says God, and the reason why we wrote God is to explain to you, like many Egyptologists believe that the Kemites believed in more than one God, and that's not true. They only believed in one God, and these are considered nature rules, individually a nature, and that's just to clear that up. And you can just read these briefly, and it tells you who they are. And that ends the tour of the birth of knowledge. And as you can see, we have 2 teknus, individually a tekken, and this is Queen Nefertiti, King Tut, and over there we have another Sphinx at Cairo. And in the half pyramid, we have a little mummy, and it's called a look at. So you can just look at that if you would
Okay,
like.
cool. How long did it take you to put everything together?
Well, it took us to get the research together a good like 2 months or like a month, and then like kind of like 2-3 weeks to build to create this whole thing.
Really? Very good. Very impressive. This is pictorial pieces.
Great.
And your next one will be this one.
Okay.
But they are taken and dispersed.
My name is Nancy, and I'll be your tour guide for the summer.